Today we're at Lake Mead in Nevada, and we are going to summit Promontory Point, which is in the distance behind those towers that you see, power line towers. Anyway, Promontory Point is a kind of peninsula that juts out onto Lake Mead just above Hoover Dam. So awesome views from Promontory Point. And just to describe where we are at the Boulder City Marina Overlook parking area. Got a great view of Lake Mead here. And this is the Boulder City Marina. And as a matter of fact, if you've ever taken the railroad trail in Lake Mead, here is part of the railroad trail immediately below us and one of the tunnels on that trail. Beautiful trail that follows a nice graded path of the railroad that was used at one time to haul materials in the construction of Hoover Dam. And so, yeah, looking around, here is the Overlook parking area. Let's go ahead and just follow this as we're looking over Lake Mead and over here, Sentinel Island. And now we're moving toward in the direction of Promontory Point. We'll point that out in a moment. Some nice interpretive signs. You can pause the video and perhaps read these. Not sure how they're going to come out, but anyway. Here's one on the construction of Hoover Dam. And then here are a number of landmarks pointed out. And an interpretive sign on the Lake Mead recreation area. Now there's no trail to where we're going. We're going to go over a couple ridges and reach Promontory Point, which, yeah, here is in the far horizon is Fortification Hill on the Arizona side of Lake Mead and the Colorado River. And if we go a little bit further this way, and by the way, there's railroad trail continuing and a construction area for the Hoover Dam maintenance area. All this is volcanic. And over in this direction, as I mentioned, Fortification Hill on the horizon. But if you look to the left and closer, just to the right of that tower, is Promontory Point. So starting from this overlook, we're going to reach Promontory Point, and we have Jean-Luc here. And Jean-Luc has been to Promontory Point before and is going to be guiding this tour.
Yes, so we will start today the second part of the series of four that will brings us over the Hoover Dam.
Okay.
Okay, so we will today start from the Boulder City Marina Overlook, accessible from the road that brings you to the dam and the bridge. And at the end of the parking, we jump the stone wall and that links to the short uh, trail that will bring us to the main trail, and then over there we will show you where to leave the main trail to start this ascension to the Promontory Point. So we could see the Promontory Point here, and um, the Promontory Point is the pretty surface. The real summit is on the right. The second summit is on the left. I think that the summit on the right have several feet higher than the one on the left. So the first part of this hike will be a piece of cake walk on this flat railroad trail. Then it will be more serious.
That sounds fun. As from what I see, we'll be climbing an area that has a drop off beneath us that goes down to the lake.
Yeah. So I don't say that it's a hike for everybody, because if you're sensitive to the altitude and the emptiness underneath you, no, it could be impressive because this slope jumps directly on a very sharp angle to the lake. So if you look down, you could be impressed if you're not used to such a place. But there's not a lot of technical difficulty, except that it's very steep and could be on the last part before reaching the top, could be a little bit slippery. But there's not a lot of difficulty other than that. Okay, so once we will be on the summit, we will turn right to have a look over the dam, and then we will come back to the peak, and perhaps have a look over the Cape Horn on the other side of the peak. And the Cape Horn mark the curve of the Colorado River that will hit the last basin before the Hoover Dam, and basically the very beginning of the Black Canyon of the Colorado River. So the Black Canyon technically is completely separate from the Grand Canyon, but before the construction of the dam, it was basically the continuation of the Grand Canyon, okay? Except that it have another name today. So we are January the 2nd, okay? I wish you to hold a hikey New Year.
And so today what we're going to get from Promontory Point is a great view of the Colorado River and Lake Mead feeding into Hoover Dam.
Yeah, and the dam too. We will be just over the dam, so that's why it's the number 2 of the series of 4. That the purpose is to frame the dam in every corners. So this we did the
Hoover Peak.
The Hoover Peak first. It was the first one of the series. This one will be the second of this series of 4.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Okay, we've just descended from the overlook. There's the overlook where we started. And there was a nice little trail that led down to this point, and you can see now we're on the railroad trail below. And we're going to continue along the railroad trail. It crosses through this fence ahead, and this is the maintenance area that we spoke about a moment ago. And we're going to continue on and then around this ridge that you see ahead, and then turn off the trail toward Promontory Point. We've been coming down the main railroad trail. And continuing on, here's where the trail takes a turn. You can see a bench for people to rest. And the trail takes a U-turn and then heads down and around to the parking area for Hoover Dam, which is over in this direction. In the meantime, though, let's take a look at where we're headed. So you see this tower, power line tower there, and just to the left of that tower is Promontory Point. And that's an area we are going to summit. And so here is Jean-Luc. He's going to describe what we do from this point.
Yeah, so just before the connection of the trail that goes down directly to the upper level of the parking lot before the Hoover Dam, we continue on the left, going a very narrow passage that they dig between these hills to have a smooth railroad back in the days when they built the dam. So just after that there is a junkyard on the right, and we will immediately leave the trail to climb on the left of it. We will do a video over there.
So here's Jean-Luc to describe the next stage of our adventure.
Yeah, we are just at the beginning of the boneyard, where you could see some turbines, some used and some brand new, that could replace one of the turbine inside the electric compartment of the dam. So we will go until the corner of the boneyard right here, and on the back, on the left, we could see a trail that will bring us on a little saddle between the rock over there, and we will do another video once on the saddle.
Okay, here we go. And here's where our adventure really starts. You see this cement pad, emergency phone, and here's where we depart the trail and head up to the saddle above. We're on that saddle now. The railroad trail and the boneyard are below. So we ascended now, a little pathway up to this saddle, and Jean-Luc will describe the next stretch.
So once on the saddle, we will climb and turn around this lava flow just right here, following the slope of this side of the mountain, and trying to reach the saddle, the smooth saddle over there. From there we will continue a little bit down and goes up to the next saddle where we really start the adventure.
All right. Okay, now we're on that next saddle, and you can see in the distance, you can see the bridge over the Colorado River, and you can see the electrical plant and the transformer stations for Hoover Dam. And then, in fact, there's a tourist pathway over in this direction. Maybe you can see it switchbacking upward to a high vantage point. You can see the power lines that lead toward Hoover Peak, and you can look in LasVegasAreaTrails.com to see the adventure on Hoover Peak. But let's go ahead and look ahead. And we're looking at Promontory Point. And how are we going to get there? Jean-Luc will describe.
So we just reached the second saddle after the first one, just after the Boneyard. There is a bighorn trail, kind of trail, that follow the relief of the slopes, and that reached the next saddle, the third one, and from there we will describe the next path.
Awesome. And basically what we're going to end up doing is finding an opening in that vertical area on the upper horizon. So
yeah,
let's see how that all works out. By the way, what we're looking at is the ridge line that is in front of Promontory Point. And let's take a look and see if we can actually get a better look at Promontory Point. And that would be on the
Come here.
left.
Yeah, view from here, you could see the pole on the left part of the Promontory Point.
And there we go.
The left summit. And this is where the sun is rising over there on the top of the darker and forest.
Very good. So that area in the sun is
Yes.
Promontory Point.
Yes. And this is the left summit, which is a little bit lower than the right summit.
And as we continue forward, you can see we are following a little use trail, either animal or human, heading toward that saddle ahead. Okay, here we are on the next saddle, and there you can see the bridge across Hoover Dam between Nevada on the right and Arizona on the left, Highway 11. And over in this direction, well, I'm not sure if you can actually see Hoover Peak over the ridge in the foreground. We'll get a better look at that area as we ascend. And then panning over to Lake Mead. Sentinel Island below. We saw that earlier. Beautiful view of Lake Mead. And then Jean-Luc's going to describe how we get up and over this next pretty rocky, somewhat vertical area. Go ahead.
Okay, this is where I really started.
Adventure. We have to, once you're on the saddle that looks over the Sentinel Island and the Boulder City Basin here of the Lake Mead, we will climb a little bit this smooth gravel slope, trying to keep the altitude following the bottom of the cliff. And our goal is to go between the cliff and this collapsed rock that makes a kind of very narrow passage, and this is where we will be in a moment. Then after that we will climb the sleepy slopes until reaching the ridge that hide on the back of the cliff, and so we will do a video all along this place to show you how beautiful, but also you have to take care of where you put your foot and maintain your equilibrium. So it's impressive. View from here, it looks very bad, but it's not that bad once on the place if you follow the good trajectory between the rock and the cliff. Otherwise, it could be a little bit tricky.
Okay, and as you can see, we're looking at some significant exposure to the left down toward Lake Mead, and Promontory Point is up. In the sunlight. And as Jean-Luc described, we are passing between the cliff on the right and this boulder at the base of the cliff, and then on up to Promontory Point in the sunlight beyond. Okay, we've just ascended this loose gravel area, but every area that we're going to be on now is loose with some drop-offs below. There you see Lake Mead and the marina for Boulder City. And here's the direction we've come from, skirting the base of this high point, which I believe is peak 1920. I'll correct that once I look at my notes, put an annotation in the video. And here you can see the terrain we are skirting, and we'll let Jean-Luc describe the next stretch.
Yeah, okay, so the first ascent is made on a very slopy place filled with gravel over the surface of the magma, and so it could be very tricky. So you could easily cut this slope if you have very good shoes, but the best is to reach the bottom of the cliff, because there is a nice flat pathway till for a certain distance, easier than cutting the slope. So don't hesitate to climb this sleepy slope to reach the bottom of the cliff just after reaching the yellow rocks.
Okay, and what Jean-Luc is saying is, don't try to traverse this cliff line at a lower point. You want to get all the way up to the base.
No, but if you do that, the easier way is to go down and then climb all the way up. So you will lose some altitude, and it's kind of stupid. So it's better to go until the bottom of the cliff and then going down slowly, following the profile of the cliff.
Okay, let's do it. We'll try to do a video about halfway through. Okay, here we are up along the base of the cliff, and you see where Jean-Luc is continuing along. And actually, it's not too bad from right here. But yeah, a lot of loose rock coming up to this point. And the thing to watch out for is a thin layer of loose rock on top of a larger layer of solid rock, which really makes a great starting point for sliding. You don't want that. Okay, onward. Now we're going to have a geological moment with Jean-Luc.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is that all around us you have rhyolite deposit which come from the magma that try to reach the surface from ancient volcanoes, ancient volcanic activity. But here, on the top of this first slope of after the last saddle, we have volcanic ashes that erupted, and so you could see that this thing is very soft and could be degraded by weathering, then erosion very fast. But the interesting thing is to observe these rocks inside the lava dust that accumulate, and the name of these included rocks are xenolith. Xenos in Greek means stranger or foreign, and lith, stone. So this is
Xenolith.
xenolith, and it means that you have a foreign rock inside the volcanic ashes. So when the volcano erupts, it pushes in the air the ashes and also the upper crust that breaks and was fragmented, push in the air and fall down on the ground, and we could see here this inclusion right here. There's plenty everywhere, and you could see that these rocks are broken in every direction. It shows that they don't have to be submitted to erosion and weathering. Weathering is the erosion by the weather, then it breaks the tiny particle, and then the erosion starts to be active, pushing this debris away. So xenolith, interesting name to understand, and also to observe that we are closer and closer from the core of the volcano that finally erupt in this area. We are surrounded by magmatic rocks that never reach the surface, and this one is the accumulation of an eruption.
Very good. And here's a look around again. I'm on the kind of loose rock I was suggesting you not stand on. Okay, and continuing onward. And here's a bighorn sheep sleeping spot. That's the bedroom with a better view than we probably have from our bedrooms. Wow. And there are a number of these sleeping areas along the way here. And continuing on. And what looked like total vertical land here is actually, as you continue along, it's better when you're close than it looked like from far away. And here's a quick look at the terrain up here, and you can see where it all the way down to the base of Lake Mead, or the shores of Lake Mead. Okay, there are a couple routes to get to the point where we are right now. There's the route we took right along the edge of the cliff line to the left. And there's another route, and we don't know if it's human or bighorn sheep, but I would guess bighorn sheep based on things we've been looking at, that comes up more from below, and we may take that on the way back. But the two meet here, and then we continue around, and you can see on the horizon there, just to the right of this rock, in between the cliff and that rock, there's another rock on the horizon. We're going to be weaving around, and we'll be passing between that rock on the left and the cliff on the right. Okay, what we're looking at here is that monolith we saw, and the direction is to go right between the monolith and the cliff on the right. And Jean-Luc, do you want to anything to this great experience?
Yeah, that's a place that I love because you have this feeling of danger in your guts, but in the same time the scenery is amazing. You have the blue lake, you have the light reflecting on these volcanic rocks, completely an anarchy landscape, and everything's collapsed around here. So you have to find your way, basically. There's several kind of bighorn sheep trails around here. Choose the one you like, and once again, we will turn these boulders, finding a way to go up between the two rocks over there. And after that, it will be another changing of ground nature. It will be much easier than this rocky part.
All right, the terrain levels off. We're looking forward to that. And Jean-Luc told me that he wanted to point out something that's scary. Scarier than what we're looking at as we look downward. And what he was referring to was these choke stones up ahead on the cliff, that it's just huge boulders that are wedged in there and look like a nice earthquake will bring them down.
So don't speak too loud, okay?
Yep, we'll go very quietly.
Yeah. Don't move a gravel in this area, you know? You never know.
Well, if the air traffic hasn't dislodged them by now, I think we're safe. And here's the monolith we looked at from below, thinking, how in the world are you going to traverse this cliff between the monolith and on the left and the cliff on the right? But as you can see, look at the nice slope that leads up. You couldn't see this from far away. It looked like you'd be hanging on the edge of a cliff, but nope. And let's look around here. Having said that, still got to say that doesn't mean that it's not a little scary in places. All this is loose rock that we are on. By the way, if you're with someone else, have a little space and just realize that if that person above you dislodges something, just be aware of the direction it will fall. Ascending this nice loose rock slope.
So David, what's your feeling on such a slope?
My feeling is two things. One is that my body does not want to slip because I've got a great imagination, and I imagine myself going all the way down to the lake. But then on the other hand, I look around and I realize that if I slip, I'm just going to land where I am pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not slide all the way down. But
yeah.
My brain is saying, no, you're going all the way down if you lose your footing.
Yeah, basically you need a little experience day after day, hike after hike, to be a little bit comfortable with such a feeling.
Build up confidence.
To appreciate such a thing. It's not a trail for everyone, but if you're a little bit easy on such place, it's not that bad. And by the way, we are just underneath this monolith between the cliff and the monolith, where you could see the passage. And after that it will be a little bit different terrain. We'll see that over there.
Okay, we are now between the monolith and the cliff. Oh, here's the little cave. Who knows what lives in there?
A ghost?
Probably a whole lot of bats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, looking down, there were some slick spots, but it was not too bad. And I think a bighorn sheep has been sleeping right up on this spot. Great spot, because then he can look around the corner and you can see what's coming up from this direction also. So great views here all around Sentinel Island, Lake Mead, and you can see now we're heading up some large loose rock, and what I found is the large loose rock gives me more stability than fine gravel, but who knows? It all depends on the slope too. Jean-Luc, what do you have to say?
I would like to say that when you are in such a place, you have to very often look back from where you come to find an easy way when you come back. Okay, so the monolith here, it's pretty evident because you have to aim to the monolith and the cliff, so it's pretty evident. But down below, if you look on the other side, I will show you. I know that we were just underneath this red rock. I know that we have to aim to the collapsed rock on the other side at the start of the gray gravel. And then I know that there is a ravine very deep that we can't see here. We can guess that there's such a place, but it's very steep and sleepy. And so I have to go a little bit up. So take some time to look back from where you come, because we will come back the same way. Okay, so if you do that for the first time, I did it 3, 4, or 5 times, I don't remember, but at the first time you have to look back from where you come to find an easier way back.
You know, and that's a good rule no matter where you are, even if you're on a trail.
Absolutely.
Is always turn around so you can see what things are going to look like on the return trip, because even if you're on an established trail, you don't realize how many branching trails there are. And on the way back, you head down the wrong branching trail and you are lost very soon.
And there is 2 ways of thinking such a thing. There is the micromanagement and the macro management. The micro is to pay attention to the details, just like this big collapsed red rock here being underneath it, and the next steps, etc., etc. And the macro management that don't work very well here because we are in a very narrow area where it's pretty evident to be, but when you're in a large, wide landscape, you have to macro manage your hike, taking some repair, some point as far as possible on the landscape. It could be a mountain with a nice shape, or a house, a lighthouse, anything. And so you have to micromanage and macro manage. I mean micro on the vicinity and macro on the large scale. Not really in such places, but most of the time in the desert, for example, if you are turning around, after a while you will lose your way. So take a mountain,
A reference point.
a reference point, aiming point, and to go there and thinking, okay, I have that slightly on my left, I have this one on my right, etc., and navigating between these two reference points.
And this is why on Las Vegas area trails, I take so much time to look around and point out all the high peaks in the terrain, because as I've said before, that is my GPS. And so no matter where I'm in the wilderness, as soon as I get off a trail, I'm aware of all the peaks, the surrounding peaks. In fact, looking over in this direction is a good shot of Lava Butte. That volcanic butte near Lake Mead, if you take Lake Mead Boulevard, the northern Lake Mead Boulevard. And so, yeah, always be aware of those reference points, because in many cases, that is your way to and from. And there's the monolith below on the left. Here's the larger rock we have been on. There's looking up, and you can see Jean-Luc is heading around the left side of this next huge boulder. So, few possibilities, but this looks like a nice one. Okay, looking back, oh boy, it looks pretty imposing, but actually, take it step by step. It's not too difficult. There's that monolith on the right, the cliff on the left we passed through. And then here's looking down toward the lake, and you think, wow, this is really unstable terrain. But yeah, here's a little cairn, and here's the pathway that we're on. Bighorn sheep are human, probably human since there's a cairn. And we're continuing on upward. Jean-Luc, what is the stretch?
So we will continue to climb this scree and more stable place than the first part after the monolith. And then we will reach the top of this sunny ridge over there. Then there is a, once we will be there, we will be out of trouble, really. I mean, after that, it's a piece of cake, really.
Jean-Luc has said that about every single turn that we've had. You get around this ridge, we've done the worst.
Yeah, no, really, because after that, it's basically, we don't have the same profile, and we will reach a kind of saddle, and from where we will do a video to reorient the whole area.
Wonderful. And so the sunlight up there is the point where we're off the scree slopes.
Yeah, we will be on the extremity of the sun.
Very good. How beautiful this is.
Monolith right here, and the landscape completely changed. It's much more climbing a very steep scree, find your way to turn around these boulders, and then just after that it will be much easier to go. Basically this is the steepest part of the day. So we will reach the ridge with the sun that touch it, and then it will be okay.
Continuing upward beyond the monolith. There it is. Just to give you an idea of the terrain around here. We'll do a complete 360. But you can see things are leveling off now. And you see Promontory Point beyond in the sunlight. And so, onward. Okay, here's the cliff we've been skirting. It's on the left. See down to Lake Mead. Beautiful lake. And now we're looking at toward Promontory Point. And heading up and over this next rocky area behind Jean-Luc. Obviously, we're not skirting the lower area here, which is totally vertical. And then we'll take a left toward the more gradual slope that is Promontory Point in the sunlight. Just amazing area. Okay, onward. Okay, we just came up through this area. As you can see, things have leveled off a bit. And just take a look around where we are. Just entirely incredible. There you can see one of our goals up here on this high point. Not so daunting as it looked from below. Now you take a time to look at these rocks and you see rocks placed in so many different unique placements. There's no place on earth that has these exact formations. Okay, Jean-Luc.
Yep. So we are now out of the main trouble. Once you reach the saddle on the main ridge, you have the lake on the side, the Boulder City Marina, beautiful view on the Lava Butte and the back of the French mountain that we will climb probably one of these days with you, David. Look at that from here. It looks a piece of cake.
You're talking about climbing the east side of Frenchman Mountain, which is not the trail.
No, not the trail. The trail is too boring, you know.
Okay.
But you have to find something more exciting.
Okay, yeah,
So,
I'm
okay,
sure.
once you're here, you could reach the summit right here, but the best point of view to have over the Hoover Dam is to turn around this black summit here. Down below there is the dam. We could see some places. You could see the Arizona side of the Interstate 11, and we will go down the slope, reaching this old dirt trail that was made because they did some work here, earthwork. We will see some artifact dating from the dam construction. So we will reach this dirt road, we will reach the saddle, then turn underneath on the left of this black summit that you could do if you want. But the best thing is to turn around by the left and reaching a kind of gentle plateau on the other side where you are facing the dam with the most amazing view that you could have. I mean, there's another one on the other side, on the Arizona side, and it will be, in this case, the summit right here, just on the right of the cliff that collapsed gently on the left. So you have this mountain to have a nice look over the dam. So we will do that one of these days too, with a very interesting access to this mountain. So the thing here is that with such a light you have countless mountains in front of the next one, etc., etc. I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mountains on the horizon, and it's beautiful. It makes a beautiful shape of rocks and ridges, amazing places. And yeah, I love this place.
Okay, well, let's explore. So are we going down or are we going up?
Yeah, we are going down to reach the dirt trail here.
Okay.
Following the dirt trail, passing on the left of this black peaton.
Yes.
Places, and then reaching the flat,
vantage point.
The flat just on the left of it.
And then we come back and
then we
hit the summit up here.
Yeah, but before doing the summit, we will turn around to reach the Cape Horn that mark the very last curve of the
peninsula.
The peninsula, and then having a look at the Kingsman Wash and also the fortification here, one of the best view that you could have.
Amazing. Ready to go. And now continuing down this little road we've been on. The last place we were was up at the saddle above that rocky area. And then the next stretch is to continue around the left side of this high point ahead, find a plateau with incredible views. Great view of the Highway 11 bridge over the Colorado. Black Canyon in the background. Okay, here's a great view of Mount Wilson in Arizona and the ridge line of Mount Wilson. See an adventure on Mount Wilson in Las Vegas area trails. And then let's just look around and see what we can see. And here is the saddle we were on just a bit ago when we saw this little road below. You can see some historical artifacts here. There was a line with a pulley, it looks like, and some ceramic insulators. So there was some kind of electric line here at one time. Looking up and around, all stark volcanic. There's that high point we were looking at, talking about skirting it to the left. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do on that. We may just go right over it. John Luke wants to go right over it. I can tell. Yeah, look at the terrain here. Wow. Just incredible. Here we go up the Jean-Luc Way, which is different than the easy way.
Yeah, so in place to turn around by the left of this volcanic cone, we just decided to climb the thing, and we will reach the summit pretty soon.
Well, have you done it before?
No, I did that before, but I know that turning by the left you have a better view, but we could do both.
Yeah, I'll come down the other way. Make a fun little loop. See who's on the front here.
Once again, from far away, this mountain looks very bad to climb, but in fact it's not that difficult. Just turn around the difficulties and you will find a good way to reach the summit. Here's mostly the end of the Lake Mead. The red line of floating buoy are the limit that you could navigate the lake. Just on the right, start the forbidden zone until the dam. And here, this is the mountain that we will climb coming from the Kingsman Wash road, and one of these days it will be the number 3 of a series of 4 hike framing the dam. The I-11 going southbound in Arizona.
We'll do a few 360-degree views as we progress. There you can see Hoover Dam below. Sugarloaf Mountain. Here's the Highway 11 bridge. Pretty remarkable structure. And then just looking around. Yeah, there is Hoover Peak. And then just beyond it, the rounded Gold Strike Mountain. Down to the trail, the railroad trail we were on earlier. There's the Boneyard. Over and around. And there's the summit of Promontory Point. And then Fortification Hill, Arizona. Mount Wilson. And Colorado River below us, approaching Hoover Dam. Okay, our next goal is that plateau area ahead, which offers an incredible view. We just came down from this high point above, much higher, but not quite the same view. So let's see what the world looks like from this plateau. And here we are on one of the best vantage points for Hoover Dam. Just upstream from the dam. Yeah, if you've ever visited Hoover Dam, you can recognize a lot of this. There's Lake Mead approaching the dam, and then beyond the dam, descending into Black Canyon under the Highway 11 bridge, and Sugarloaf Mountains on the left. Oops. Hoover Peak on the right. And Gold Strike Mountain. Pretty awesome view. And you can see the saddle above that we descended from to reach this point. Promontory Point, summit area up in this direction. Let's look around a little bit more.
So the two maximum lake evacuation spillway and the 4 towers, 2 on the Arizona side, 2 on the Nevada side, in charge to evacuate the extra flood. So this dam is an arch that hold on both sides of this narrow canyon, and down below there is the entrance of the water tunnel to produce electricity through the turbine. The electric plant is down below on the other side of the dam, and the bridge over the Colorado River that find another calm course just after the dam. So a little bit just after the curve of the river there is the mouth of the Gold Strike Canyon, and right here this is Hoover Peak that we did with David a month ago. The river mountains, Las Vegas is on the back. In front of it there is Boulder City, where the workers used for the dam were living. Once again, the dam starts in 1931, just after the Great Depression in America. It was part of the plan to bring a new economic start to the ruined America. Back in the days, there were no well-known techniques to pour the concrete, no well-known security. Never before such a thing was attempted, and it was finished in 1936, a year and a half before the schedule. Upstream was the primitive course of the river, fortification hill on the background. The river was making a curve on the other side to join the exit of the Grand Canyon, I will say 30 to 40 miles away in crow fly. We came from this saddle over there. Extraordinary scenery here. This bridge is close to 200 meters over the river. It makes close to 600 feet over the river. Down below the Black Canyon, and at the very end of these mountains, the river enters a landscape of plain washes, and slowly continue to flow to the northern extremity of the Sea of Cortez between Baja California and the Mexico mainland. A very rewarding hike today. And one of our next hike will be this mountain, coming down from one of the wash that starts at the Kingsman Road wash. Fortification Hill, the summit, and on the left this is a ridge that hides us the view of the volcanic cone in the center of the huge plateau over there.
And here's one of the best views of Hoover Dam, upper portion at Lake Mead, the Colorado River feeding into the dam. Toward Mount Wilson, Fortification Hill, summit of Promontory Point, back to the ridge line we are on right now. Okay, we reascended from that last point, and the saddle we were on is right over the other side of this rocky area when we first summited this area from the Lake Mead side. And now we're back here. We're heading for Promontory Point summit, and Jean-Luc will describe what we're going to do.
So there is a big horn chip trail that will bring us to the saddle. Then going flat and up, we will find a way on the side of the Promontory Point mountain, and turning on the back of it, we will reach first the right summit, and then having an easy walk to the left summit. Yeah, and I call this rock here the mole trying to climb the rock mountain.
The mole trying to climb the rock.
Look at that. You don't know how it is possible to maintain a certain equilibrium, but we saw when we came over the monolith that some rocks were suspended and just waiting to collapse with a big splash on the lake. So yeah, once again a beautiful area. Definitively a hike to do if you feel able to brave the slopes. Otherwise, once here, it's amazing. You have the highway, the dam on the other side, a lot of traffic, and here it's just beauty everywhere you are looking for.
Okay, let's head on up, find the summit.
Yep.
Okay, looking down to the saddle where we first summited above the cliffs and the monolith facing Lake Mead. And now we're heading up to this next high point, circling around to the right of the high point. Here we go. Oh, by the way, yeah, nice framed view of Mount Wilson, Arizona. There's Jean-Luc circling around that next high point. We'll see what the summit looks like on the other side. Home stretch to the summit, summit ahead. And then 360, Fortification Hill, Mount Wilson to Pointy Mountain. Highway 11 into Arizona, Sugarloaf Mountain, Hoover Peak and Gold Strike Mountain. I think that the pointy one beyond is Windbreak Peak, but we'll see when we get up to the summit. And then back down to Lake Mead. Approaching the summit marker on Promontory Point. Look at this. There's actually another summit marker south of this, but this is the northern summit marker. Beautiful view of Lake Mead. Look at that. Wow. There's Sentinel Island. We'll do a quick 360 up here. There's Fortification Hill. Mount Wilson. Get a closer look at Fortification Hill. You can see the paint pots to the right and beneath, colored area. And there's Fortification Hill summit. And there's actually a Fortification Hill road. Show you in a bit. And that road circles around the right side of Fortification Hill. And then there's a trail up to the summit. You can find that on Las Vegas area trails. And then looking over toward Sugarloaf Mountain, the I-11 or the Highway 11 bridge between Nevada on the right, Arizona on the left. And Hoover Peak. Then above it, the rounded Gold Strike Mountain. And I believe we're looking at Windbreak Peak, but we'll check that out and make sure. Then back over to the Boulder City Marina. Boulder City. Over in this direction, you can see Lava Butte, and in the background is Frenchman Mountain. There's Lava Butte, that dark volcanic cone. Frenchman Mountain, you can see the double summits. So there you have it from this point, the northernmost point of Promontory Peak. And here's a view of the Colorado River continuing its course. There's Fortification Hill. And then here's the end of Kingman Wash Access Road. That's Kingman Wash right there. So let's go over to the southern summit, just a little bit over directly ahead, and just see what we can see from that point.
The last steps to the summit. A garden of stone, some creosote, nothing else, some rare cactus here, Promontory Point, where the Colorado River turns around. And the Colorado River course was probably deviated from its original course by the volcano on the fortification hill. with these vivid colors. Amazing place. The dam, the bridge, David reaching the summit. Here, Boulder City Marina with its long ramp. To put the boat afloat. And on the top of the wash, Boulder City, the river mountains on the right of Boulder City and the marina, and over there far away with the snow cap, the Mount Charleston, just under 12,000 feet elevation. Mummies Peak on the right, Lava Butte, and on the back Frenchman Mountain. Gas Peak over there, the A4 Peak far away, and the Muddy Mountains here. This is their southern extremities. So once again, this part of the lake is named Boulder Basin. Then starts a narrow passage that gives an access to the Virgin River Basin, and then another narrow passage that gives access to the final basin, where at the northern extremity the Colorado River hit the Lake Mead, and after several miles exit the Grand Canyon. Once again, the colors of the original layers on which the volcano pops up, creating the fortification here. We could see on the other side of the lake the continuation of the lava flow that probably did a dam over the Colorado River. Right there is the Cape Horn that mark the curve of the Colorado River entering the Black Canyon. You could see why it's called Black Canyon. And Kingsman Wash is just down below over there. So here is a creek where we open a nice bottle of rosé wine with a friend of mine that lay in France now, and we explore kayaking all of these little creek, and we spend the night probably on one of these beaches over there, trying to catch some fish with a fishing pole, but unsuccessfully.
And here we are at the southern side of the summit of Promontory Peak. Just do a quick 360. So we saw a lot of this from the northern side. There you can see the southern and northern summit markers. Great views to Fortification Hill area. There you can see the Colorado River continuing on down and around. And if you follow the white calcite line, which marks a high point, that white calcite's made with calcium and water, and the interaction Mount Wilson. So these are all great reference points just to know where you are. And by the way, there's one that I missed a little earlier. It is, wonder if you can even see it. Oh yeah. Over on the Nevada side of Lake Mead, here's a shot of Black Mesa. Pretty amazing up here.
Okay, back at the entrance of the descent. So we will do the exact reverse way. First step is going down this canyon to reach the sunny ridge first. Then we'll see. We reached this ridge with the sun that separate the two sides of the canyons. Here, the way to go, we have to aim at the monolith just on the right of the cliff to go between it and the cliff. Then it will be a long traverse to the saddle where you could guess the trail over there, and the gray gravel, which is a very difficult zone to cross through because of the rounded gravel that have a tendency to roll underneath your shoes. The bridge between the monolith and the cliff, and the blue and green waters of Lake Mead. Okay, just like we said when we went up, I have to aim at the bottom of this rock, now on the shade, and aiming at the saddle over there, trying to don't lose too much altitude, and I don't want to aim too low in the same time because we can see it, but the ravine, there's a ravine that we can't guess here, and it could be bad to be too low. Okay. So actually we just passed underneath the big red rock, and there is two choices now: or to climb to reach the bottom of the cliff just like we did when we came up, or staying on the same profile, and this is what we're gonna do right now to show the both trails, both possibilities. A last glance at this amazing lake. Yeah, incredible. Here a rock with this huge cavity due to the degasification of the magma when it reaches the surface, close to the surface. Huge bubble of gas was captured inside this magma. The erosion polished the rest, but we observed these cavities in many places. Oh. So I am now out of the trouble, basically at the end of the gravel zone, very close from the saddle that will bring us back to the railroad trail. Just a second to have a look on the other side. A last glance at the lake. The arch now very visible here. And back to civilization. Okay. Now we have to aim at this little saddle, cutting the slope on the left to the next saddle, and then the last descent to the railroad trail. Look at this place. Sentinel Island, Muddy Mountain on the background, the extremity of a ball of fire in the red rocks over there, this way. Hayford Peak, far away, over there. On the other side of the Hayford Peak, and on the left, this is the Hidden Forest. Yeah, here we are at the last saddle to reach before the short final descent to the railroad trail here and the boneyard. The parking lot is probably 2 to 3 miles away. It is 2:18 p.m. It takes us an hour and 10 minutes to go down from Promontory Point summit till basically the railroad road.